Good evening. I'd like to call the Wayne Westland Board of Education meeting to order. Today is May 16th, 2016. Thank you for attending. Your attendance here shows your
It went up with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm for education.
yes, your enthusiasm for public education. At this time, we'd like to have the 3 students from Wildwood Elementary School to come up front so they can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will Alexandria, Elizabeth, and Gabriel Fall please come forward?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if you'll stay, ladies, right where you are and face the judgment bar this way. Just look at me if you would. We're going to read your biographies. First, Alexandra. Who's Alexandra? Alex is a 3rd grader in Miss Lafferty's class at Wildwood. Alex's favorite subject in school is math. She especially likes adding and subtracting large numbers. She likes reading. Her favorite books are joke books. She likes following the 7 habits at school. Synergizing her is favorite habit because everyone works together. Alex enjoys riding her bike and playing with Monster High dolls. Where's Elizabeth?
Right here.
Elizabeth. Lizzie is a 4th grader at Wildwood Elementary. She is in Mrs. Patterson's class. Lizzie enjoys learning, and her favorite subject is math. She will be in the Talented and Gifted program next year at Marshall Upper Elementary. At school, Lizzie is a leader on the Service and Safety Squad. She helps in the 3rd grade classroom. In her spare time, she likes being outside and riding her bike. So you must be Gabriella. All right. Gabby is in kindergarten at Wildwood Elementary in Mrs. Shepard's class. Gabby enjoys math and reading. Her favorite special area class is media. In her classroom, she is very helpful. Her favorite classroom job is passing out papers. When she is not at school, she enjoys riding her bike, playing with her dog, and going to the park with her family.
Very good.
Thank you, and I'd like to congratulate you ladies today. Did you bring anyone from your family today? Can you please stand? Is your principal here? Can you please stand? Well, Miss Alexandria, on behalf of the Wayne Westland Board of Education, we'd like to thank you for your participation in the flag ceremony today for the Pledge of Allegiance. So this is a word to you on behalf of the Wayne Westland Board of Education. And Miss Elizabeth Fogg, on behalf of the Wayne Westland Board of Education, we'd like to congratulate you and thank you for your participation in the flag ceremony for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And Gabrielle, on behalf of the Wayne Westland Board of Education, we would like to congratulate you on your participation for the flag ceremony and the Pledge of Allegiance. So Jenny's going to take your picture, so you guys can stand to the side.
Turn your certificates around so I can see everybody's name.
And look at me.
1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if the family of the pledge members have to leave at this time, it's okay, we understand. But you're more than welcome to stay and join us. Moving on to item number 253.16, roll call, Dr. Weaver.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Here.
Mrs. Madell,
Here.
Mrs. Madison,
Present.
Mrs. Hines.
Present.
I'm present. And Mr. Griffin is an excused absence.
And I'm here too. Did you call me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, moving on. At this time, I'm going to ask our fellow board members if we can make 2 amendments to the agenda as read, and we're going to vote on them at 2 separate items. So the first one, I'm going to need a motion to amend the agenda as follows to add the item 259.16, item B, for the approval of the hire of the elementary principal.
Move approval.
Support.
Okay, so Dr. Weaver and Mrs. Hines. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Buckaloo.
Yes.
Mrs. Madell.
Yes.
Mrs. Madison.
Yes.
Mrs. Hines.
Yes.
I vote yes, Madam President.
Yes,
Let the record reflect a 6-0 vote.
thank you. And the next motion that we'll need to have is to amend the agenda to have a public comment period specifically related to the Tinkham proposal to be held for 30 minutes with the same rules that apply to the other public comments immediately following the Tinkham presentation.
Move approval.
Support.
Moved by Dr. Weaver and supported by Ms. Hines. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Madison.
Yes.
Mrs. Hines.
Yes.
Mrs. Madell.
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo.
Yes.
I vote yes, Madam President.
Yes,
Let the record reflect a 6-0 vote.
thank you. Moving on to item number 254.16, recognitions and presentations. Dr. Hamala.
Yes, and I'm going to hand it right on over to John Albrecht, who's ready to share.
Thank you, Dr. Harmon. Madam President, members of the Board of Education, and members in the audience, Wayne Westland Schools truly values our partnership with our local stakeholders and businesses. North Brothers Ford on Ford Road is one of those businesses. Each year, North Brothers reaches out to us in their effort to select students who have an opportunity and a scholarship to attend summer camp. We are very thankful to North Brothers for their continuous support of Wayne Westland Community Schools and our students. I want to introduce Perry Rue and Nathan Quinby from North Brothers Ford and the students selected this year, Desmond Barnett, Sante Curtis from Stevenson Middle School, and Abigail Horner from Franklin Middle School. Students, if you would come up here, please. And then I'm going to turn it over to Perry and Nathan.
Well, thank you so much for having us this evening. We truly appreciate it. At North Brothers, we are celebrating our 75th anniversary as a Ford franchise. We do this every year, and we wanted to recognize these 3 individuals for their outstanding persuasive and writing skills. They had to write an essay to convince us that they really wanted to earn the opportunity to go to summer camp. So great job, guys. Wonderful job. And they'll have their choice of either going to Camp Ohayesi up towards Fenton, and then or Camp Nisakini up in Oscoda area. So they'll have a wonderful week up in one of those schools, and we have a little care package, sleeping bag and some goodies for them, beach towel and all that stuff. So we feel honored to do this, and we look forward to continual support of Wayne Westland School District, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 255.16, citizen comments, agenda items only. Dr. Weaver?
Yes, this is the point on our agenda where anyone in the audience can speak to tonight's agenda, and we would ask you, please, if you would just give your name before speaking. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to tonight's agenda? Thank you. Seeing none, Madam President.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 256.16, the consent agenda. At this,
Kind of confused on whether there's a 30-minute process we're going to have.
Yes.
Just clarify.
okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no problem.
You do understand you have the opportunity to speak now. Okay, thank you.
256.16, consent agenda. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Moved by Dr. Weaver. Support. Supported by Ms. Hines. Any discussion? Roll call vote, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Hines.
Yes.
Mrs. Madison.
Yes.
Mrs. Madell.
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo.
Yes.
I vote yes, Madam President.
Yes.
Let the record reflect a 6-0 vote.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 257.16, review and approval MHSAA resolution to form and support a cooperative tennis team for John Glenn High School and Wayne Memorial High School. Mr. Albright.
Thank you, Madam President. Wayne Memorial and John Glenn athletic directors, along with their administrators and support from the superintendent's cabinet, are proposing the formation of a cooperative boys tennis team to be implemented in the fall of 2016-17. The cooperative team implementation is contingent upon the Michigan High School Athletic Association Executive Committee approving a position statement that was brought to the Michigan Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association at their annual conference. The athletic administrators approved that statement in a unanimous vote. Our agreement, if approved tonight, would allow more students to participate in the educational athletic experience. Since 2013-14 school year, participation numbers in our boys tennis programs have been in decline. During that year, Wayne Memorial had only 7 participants, while John Glenn was able to field a team of 14. Our league structure for tennis matches requires 4 singles and 5 double teams, which is 14. Wayne, with only 7 participants, was able to play singles and a couple doubles matches for each match. In 14-15 school year, Wayne had 6 participants and John Glenn had 8. Neither school was able to field a complete team during the school year. In 2015-16, Wayne Memorial opted not to sponsor a team. There were only 4 participants. John Glenn had 8 on their team that year. John Glenn will initially be designated as the host school. The team will be known as Wayne Westland United, and the uniform colors will be a combination of the main colors of each school. In regards to Title IX, we feel there will be no issues since this agreement is not adding a program, simply modifying it. So with that, we ask for a motion and a vote to approve the resolution that we be allowed to form a combined tennis team.
Thank you, Mr. Albright. At this time, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Madell, seconded by Mr. Buckaloo. Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Buckaloo.
Yes.
Mrs. Madison.
Yes.
Mrs. Madell.
Yes.
Mrs. Hines.
Yes.
I vote yes, Madam President.
Yes.
Let the record reflect a unanimous vote in the positive.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 258.16, review and approval of the Tinkham redesign. And just so I add that, we're going to allow you to, you're going to do your presentation, and then we'll go into the discussion, and then we'll have the vote after the 30 minutes. Okay? All right.
Thank you, Madam President. We're asking you, the Board of Education, to consider closing the Tinkham facility, and with that, these points within that proposal. Relocate the alternative high school to the Wayne Memorial High School Annex. Relocate the Pohai outreach offices and storage area to the Rose Kennedy Respite Center after needed renovations. Relocate the technology department to the Respite Center. Move the SXI classroom from the annex to the computer-aided drafting and design room at Wayne Memorial. Move the JROTC program from the annex to the woodshop and woodshop classrooms at Wayne Memorial High School. Move the CAD program, that's computer-aided drafting and design, to the Art Tech classroom at John Glenn High School. Discontinue adult education programming at Tinkham for participants, those are students over the age of 19, except GED and ESL. Discontinue adult education evening program at the William D. Ford Career Tech Education Center. General fund costs associated with programming at Tinkham are approximately $200,000 annually. In addition, $110,000 generated by the state's Per Pupil Foundation can be reallocated to our K-12 programs. As I move into the next phase of this proposal, it's important to recognize that eliminating participant programming has an impact on staffing. As we explored options while considering this proposal, we never lost sight of that reality. Likewise, closure of Tinkham and discontinuing high school completion classes for participants will affect Career Tech evening programming. A requirement for students attending evening classes at Career Tech is to take high school completion classes. Funding for students is tied to that requirement. William D. Ford was never meant to be a high school. We propose discontinuing that evening program at William D. Ford. In recent years, the state has allocated K-12 dollars toward community colleges that compete with the same and similar programs. Students leave without completing a program at a rate exceeding 50%. They can and are seeking similar opportunities at community colleges. Staffing for career and technical education is challenging. There are few certified teachers in the field, and as a result, we are constantly trying to recruit people who are willing to do the work required to receive annual state authorization to teach those courses. So a little bit about our process. Meetings were conducted with multiple groups seeking input while exploring closure of Tinkham and program locations. We met with the entire alternative high school staff and administration twice. We met with the staff and administration of Wayne Memorial High School, whom would be impacted should a decision to close Tinkham and move programming to Wayne Memorial High School be decided. Included in that meeting were staff members from Pohai Outreach, art and CAD teachers, nurses, district special education administrators, and school administration. The JROTC program chose not to attend. We also met with students from Tinkham Alternative High School to seek their input and ideas about transition to a different site. 2 meetings were held with the staff at the Adult and Community Education program on the Tinkham campus. Teachers, administrators, parapros, secretaries, and security staff took part in those meetings. A meeting was conducted with all the staff at the William D. Ford Career and Technical Education Center evening program to outline any impact on the future of that program that would result from closing Tinkham and discontinuing high school completion component of that program. The infrastructure at Tinkham is in need of significant upgrades. Roof, HVAC, boiler, and other considerations that will total close to $2 million. Current plans for our sinking fund millage do not include these needs. We redesigned the alternative high school for the fall of 2015-16 with the expectations of serving pupils under the age of 20 seeking an alternative setting while working toward a high school diploma. As we reported earlier this year, enrollment is up and student success has significantly improved. We asked the board to consider this redesign so as to make the program self-supporting, utilizing only the state's foundation allowance. The program is beginning to show that this expectation can be reached. So we are asking to continue this program while relocating it to the annex of Wayne Memorial High School. The concept of a school within a school would be the design. If approved, Pohai Outreach will need a different location. To date, the former Computer Services office area in the annex houses this program's offices. We propose a Rose Kennedy Respite Center after improvements to the facility. The cost of those upgrades would be $54,675. It has been vacant since May 2013, at which time a new roof was put onto that building. We also like to move the technology department's techs and offices into the Respite Center as well. Technology needs are growing and space for technicians and equipment and management are needed. The JROTC program and one SXI classroom currently located in the annex need to be relocated within Wayne Memorial High School. The woodshop and woodshop classrooms are suitable for the JROTC classes after removing the equipment and painting. The current computer-aided drafting and design classroom at Wayne Memorial is suitable for the SXI classroom. Minimal upgrades costs would be needed to make these areas ready for moves. They would total $27,800. This would make 7 classrooms accessible to the alternative high school. Because the computer-aided drafting program would be displaced, we propose moving this classroom to John Glenn High School. In this way, students for both high schools and students who attend Career Tech from other districts will be able to take advantage of this program. It is a Career Tech and added cost program, as are all the programs at Career Tech. If Tinkham is closed, high school completion program for programming for participant students, those over the age of 19, will be affected. Redesign of the alternative high school is moving pupils, students under the age of 20, into that program and away from adult education, as this is a duplication of efforts. Participant drop rates approach 80%, and graduation rates hover near 10% or less. There are other venues for students to seek programming that will meet their needs. Some programming provided at Tinkham is credit recovery for our high school students after their normal school day. This already happens at John Glenn and Wayne Memorial, and that could be expanded at the high schools to meet students' needs beginning next fall. We would like to continue GED and ESL programming for those students who seek this opportunity. Enrollment has been good in these areas, and we would need to relocate that elsewhere in the district. With that said, we ask that the board consider this proposal. Timelines, should you approve it, will give us the authority to move forward. We would implement this plan for the fall of 2016.
Okay, thank you. So what we're gonna do now is, it'll be technically it's 258.16, Part A of what we're doing. So now we'll call for the public comment. Same rules apply, and Dr. Weaver will go over that with you with the 3 minutes.
Okay, we ask that you come to the podium and give us your name, please. And after 3 minutes, you'll be asked to turn the section over, turn your thoughts over to someone else.
I'm Don Harris, the president of the association, and we have both Tinkham members and the Career Tech Center here as well. But as workers in these buildings, I thought they'd probably be best in representing what needs to be said. Jeff.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Jeff Holland, and I have been teaching high school completion mathematics in the adult education program since 1995, now completing my 21st year. I've been asked to speak to you on behalf of the staff and students in our program regarding the proposal before you concerning the closure of the Tinkham facility and the adult education program itself. We feel this proposal, if adopted as is, will have seriously adverse effects on the program's students, particularly those who are very close to graduating and or turning 20 years old, and on the members of staff who may no longer be employed at all. These potential circumstances are exacerbated by the fact that there is so little time left in the school year. Therefore, I stand before you in appeal to ask that you consider rejecting or perhaps modifying the proposal before you, at least in part, so that the needs of those most adversely affected can be best met with a minimum of cost to the district. With this in mind, I beg your indulgence as I relate a little of my experiences at Tinkham, with particular regard to the misconceptions I have heard regarding our program by teachers in the district and others whenever I told them where I teach. I recall a distinct pattern in their responses. For example, I would hear, "Oh, Tinkham? in alternative ed? Or do you teach GED or something part-time? Or perhaps the most prevalent, isn't that where all the bad kids go? The answer to these questions is, of course, and emphatically, no. Adult ed exists, yet a surprising number of people do not seem to be aware of this fact for one reason or another. And while we do indeed offer GED courses, I've never taught one of them myself. And finally, not only is my position a full-time job, it is one that I have quite obviously made my career. One might even say, after so much time, that this has become my life's passion. At least teaching certainly has. It can be difficult at times, even trying, but perhaps that has lent itself to a sense of greater reward and achievement through my students' successes. Many of our students have had a rough time in their personal and academic lives, which led to poor decision-making. I have honestly never really thought of any of our students as bad, per se. For the most part, they just needed some guidance and support, along with a second chance to succeed and perhaps a little time to mature. We provide all that and more. The most common reason students come to our program is that they simply could not learn effectively in a traditional setting. It happens. Some come to us right from that setting and others after a few or several years have passed, but they do come. They are often anxious at first, full of self-doubt, wondering if they are able to learn at all or if they simply were not ready to learn again. But here they were again, trying again.
Time has expired.
And we have to kind of stick to the time so that everyone can get a chance to talk within that time.
May I conclude with 1 minute?
No, I'm sorry.
I'll wait my 3 minutes for him.
You can't do that.
No, we have, for the sake of everyone to be heard and that we can have an orderly meeting. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Madam President, Board. My name is Stephanie Nadeau, and I am Student Council President for Tinkhams Adult Education Program. Upon hearing about the Board's decision about considering closure of the Adult Education Program, I became concerned for my fellow classmates, the staff, and I, of whom take part in our program. I have taken the time to do some research and came across some very interesting statistics. Over the past 5 years, our program has produced 430 graduates. Of those 430 graduates, we've had about 330 of them go on to higher education. Around 325 entered employment, and about 270 of them retained employment. Those are awesome numbers. We currently have 190 students enrolled in the program in which the Board of Education feels is not successful. 80 of those are striving for their high school diplomas. The other are taking adult basic education to prepare for their GED. Either way, each of us has set a goal for ourselves. We've worked very hard to outline a plan that suited us best. Tinkham was the answer. Now we're being told that Tinkham can no longer be the solution to our equation. Our program has done nothing but proven to be successful, yet you, the Board of Education, have taken our trust we so willingly placed within you and crumpled it like an old issue of the Observer. We, the students and staff alike, understand that our building is in disrepair. We are not upset the building is shutting down, or even that the programs are being relocated. What our concern is that you are discontinuing a program that has and will be nothing but beneficial, not only for our community, but the communities that surround us as well. As support of that, I have approximately 12 pages that I, myself, and students in the building have taken around to the local communities and have had signed, stating that the program has been beneficial and should be kept going because it is a necessary program. I personally started out in the program with a 1.52 GPA after being out of school nearly 13 years. I now have a 4.0. I made National Honor Society and President of Student Council in 1 semester. I am one person who is a success story out of this wonderful program. We are not asking to be kept going in the same building. We are asking for a continuation of a program that has been extremely beneficial to many, many people, i.e. 430 graduates who have gone on to continue to benefit society, and all of our surrounding communities, including Wayne Westland. Living in the community for 10 years, I never knew about the program.
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
members' time has expired.
That's okay.
Thank
Better.
you.
Hi, my name is Marilyn Brewer Bertera. I'm a 33-year teacher in the Career Tech Evening Program. I started the year that the program started in 82, 83. I sent you all a summarized list of my reasoning why I think the Career Tech program should remain in force. First of all, on the agenda, I think it was the way it was listed on the agenda was a little bit misleading. It said Tinkham redesign. It's elimination of programs is what you're doing. And our first meeting, the first meeting with staff was 3 weeks ago today when we first learned about the elimination of programs. I think 3 weeks is a little short notice to be eliminating a program that's been going for 33 years. We used to have, we call it shifts at the Career Tech Center. We used to have 6 shifts. 4 of those shifts were in the evening program, and I assume back 33 years ago, I know funding was different at that time, we probably generated quite a bit of revenue stream for the district. And I'm assuming it probably supplemented other programs in the district. I know that's not true anymore, but now that the shoe's on the other foot, you know, why can't that work both ways? We provide a service to the community and the students we serve, and I think that everybody in this room agrees that education is more than just the bottom line on a financial statement. Also, a couple of the things that were in the proposal that I disagree with, it said that we have a 67% drop rate at the Career Tech Center. The last figure that Mr. Kay gave me was our fall 2015 completion rate was 70% from count day until the end of the semester. And then the second paragraph on page 36 about staffing, we have never had a staffing issue for any of our classes. It does require annual vocational authorization. We have never had a staffing issue that I know of at the Career Tech Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Furton, and I'm the art teacher at Tinkham for adult education. And I really quickly stopped into the counseling office. I just printed off the last 5 years of our commencement announcements, and I just wanted to look at these really quick because I know at one of our meetings it was said that there was a year in the last 5 years that we had 0 graduates. And looking through 2011, the adult and community graduates, there was 65. And that year there were 0 alternative ed graduates. 2012, there were 65 adult and community ed graduates. There was 10 alternative graduates that year. 2013, there were 60 adult and community ed graduates, and there were 6 alternative ed graduates. And in 2015, there are 47 and 6 alternative ed graduates. So we have more students graduating per year than the alternative program does. Our adult program is very beneficial for students even if they are 16 to 19. Some of them are supporting their families and they need that split schedule to be able to go to school and get their diplomas and work to support their families. I hear that so often from my students that, you know, I have to work today, I've got to pay the bills for my parents, so they're able to stay in the adult program to continue. Thank you. This could quite possibly be my last year of teaching if this closes. My certificate expires this summer, and I need teaching time to get it back. It may not be likely that a school is going to hire a teacher without a current certificate. So I just began 2.5 years ago. As a new teacher, this could be the end of my career. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Angela, and I just wanted to say that there's single mothers out there with no education, like me. I've been going there for the last 3 years. I took 2 years of GED classes. It didn't even help me. So I went and talked to the principal, and he put me in the high school completion. And I've been doing good so far. And I just want to show my kids that I can finish. We have wonderful teachers, a wonderful principal. We just want to continue and achieve our goals. That's it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer, and I attend Tinkham Adult Education Center. This program has been very helpful for me and my 3 kids. I'm a divorced mother, single mother of 3. I've been struggling to go back to school. My car's broken down several times. I've actually walked to school to get there. I'm very close to getting towards the end of the point where you graduate, and I think it's unfair to the teachers. I think it's unfair to the students all the way around that we're pretty much just lied to and said, oh, don't worry, it's going to keep going on. And that's not the truth. And I think I just think it's very wrong the way the outcome of this is coming out. It's not fair. I think there should have been like a time set, and people should have been prepared and ready and know it ahead of time, not at the last minute. These teachers in this school have brought my confidence up higher than it's ever been before, and they've given me the ability to say, I can do this, instead of saying, I can't. And I don't think it's fair to these teachers or these students to just have to be just disregarded at this point. You know, I think there should be like a time span, something, and just like not at the last minute, like, okay, it's over. You guys are done. You're on your own. You're screwed, pretty much. Because I've been a struggling mother of 3, and I'm showing my kids, you know, look, you can do this. You can do this. It's hard. You're going to struggle. It's going to be tough days, but you can do it. You can get through it. Where I wasn't taught that growing up. I didn't have that in my family. Nobody taught me that kind of structure. I had to figure it out on my own. I had to get a divorce, get remarried, get a divorce, take care of my 3 kids, struggle, do whatever I had to do to get to school, to get a high school completion. I mean, you can't even get a job anywhere without a high school completion. And it's very heartbreaking at this point for a lot of us. I mean, even if it went on for like 1 more year, at least that's some notice, you know. But that's it. That's all I wanted to address at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aldo Abate. I've been teaching English at Tinkham's Adult Education Program for nearly 2 years now, and of all my teaching experiences, I can say by far this is the absolute best one. The staff and students at Tinkham have a familial connection that's truly unlike anything I've seen or felt elsewhere. And I'm really proud of what we've accomplished and what we accomplish on a daily basis, and I think it would be really unfortunate to lose that. So I just ask for you to consider the possibility of extending the program for just 1 more year as a courtesy to the people who would be displaced and devastated by this last-minute decision. I understand it's a financial decision, but it also significantly affects so many people's lives. So I'd just like to say for tonight, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Judy Abraham. I think I'm the only one here for the alternative program. I've been there for 16 years, started in 2000, and I'm really upset that the program is going to be moving over to Wayne High, if that's what you choose to do. I know a lot of the teachers are too, the staff. It doesn't really make sense to us how you can move a program and pick them up from Tinkham and put them into a high school and still call it Tinkham and leave them in an annex kind of segregated from the other high school kids with different class hours, different everything. It's not really right. That it's a little confusing for everybody, but I love my program. I thought it was a great program, and I know, and I agree with these people. I think that we should have more time. If you're going to do this move, I think we should have more time. It's pretty quick. You just decided to pull the rug out from under us. We have to decide what we're going to do now. Some people will lose their jobs, and I just wanted to say, we love the program, but I don't understand the move that would go to Wayne High and still be considered Tinkham alternative education. It just doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Aaliyah, and I go to the Tinkham Adult Ed side, and I've never, ever been successful at school, except for here. I've been kicked out of school, suspended, expelled pretty much regularly, weekly. But here I'm actually doing successful behaviorally and academically. My grades have gone from D's and E's and just barely passings to A pluses and A minuses. And the teachers really care and they help a lot. And I've never been successful at school other than here. So I think it should stay open, or at least get another year or so. Because a lot of people are close to graduating. Like I have 4 more credits, but if it closes, I won't get to graduate, and I've not been successful anywhere else. I've actually been here a few times for meetings with Mr. Holman, and they haven't gone well. And Tinkham was the first time I've done good in school, and actually been happy and excited to go to school, and actually bothered to show up. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Evening. My name is Todd Pauling, and I am the Local 4 President of the support staff, which is transportation, food service, and custodians. And I'm just coming to speak in regards to, I don't want to see any more jobs lost, and we're already thin as it is, and I just don't want to see any more of our members affected like they were in, I believe it was 2008, when we closed the 6 schools. And if there is a plan in place, I would like to see my members or my members infused into that, where they can, because it'll be 3 positions. It'll be 1 food service, 2 custodians, and I'd like to see them infused into whatever plan it is and not lose their jobs or not be laid off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Corinne Stover. I'm the science teacher at Tinkham Adult Education. I've been there for 4 years, and I've been teaching for over 15. It's a special place, and I'm really very happy that I got a chance to be there. I'm very emotional right now, I'm sorry. These kids, we call them kids, they're our kids. They may be 2 credits away from completing. Everyone's saying a year longer. What about another semester? What about just the fall? If they are over 19, they don't have a place to go. Not all of them want a GED. Since I've heard the news of this, I've tried to convince them. The GED is easier than ever to pass, and we can get you ready and all of these things. And they were sold on the idea that they were going to get a diploma, and we're not going to give them that opportunity anymore. They are community members. Their parents are paying taxes. Stephanie showed you data that you're giving us numbers that aren't correct. Every year at our graduation, we have significantly more graduates than the alternative side. You've taken a lot of our students that were 16 to 19-year-olds and put them onto the alternative side to try to save that program. And I understand that. I know it's financial. I understand there's a bottom line. That makes a lot of sense to all of us. But to tell these kids the last 4 or 5 weeks of school, you have to find something else in the fall, is really, really difficult when they walk to us. We don't offer them transportation. They walk to us. They walk to us in the middle of the winter because they believe in themselves. For the first time in a long time. I've been in public education for a long time. My mother is a professor at Eastern. I am from an education family. I believe in this program. I believe in our kids. I know that this has to be a difficult situation for you. I know this has to be a difficult decision that you're making. I hope that it's a difficult situation. I'm sure that it is. We love being there. We want to give them the opportunity to find something else. If you could help us do that, 1 more semester, something instead of being told all year, you aren't in danger, you aren't in danger. Yes, we're looking at your program. People are going to come in and interview you. People are going to come into your classroom, and they are going to look at your program. That never happened. No one came into my classroom and questioned me. No one came in and asked me about our program. No one came in. I think that we deserve at least a little bit of heads up on this. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and I think we'll take the final three that are right there.
You've still got 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Why didn't, I was taking who was on the wall, and so we're doing within the 30 minutes.
My name is Carolyn Cartwright. I'm the counselor at the Adult Ed program. And I wasn't going to speak tonight because everything I've heard kind of reiterates what I would have said. But I want you to know that I've been in education since 1995, and I was a music teacher for the majority of that time. I've always tried to be a positive person, always tried to have a positive influence. I never wanted to send people to the office, always wanted to do in-house kind of reconstruction with the students, because it would always hurt the program to have a band students out of the room. But you would walk into a teacher's lounge at any of the other buildings that I taught at, and somebody would mention a student, and somebody would say, oh yeah, I got that student in my class, oh my goodness. And it would all be negative, and it would spiral out of control. You walk into the teacher's lounge at Tinkham, and somebody mentions a student, oh, this happened to that person, did you know, how can we help them? These teachers work together for every single student. Some schools have trouble getting their teachers into the hallway. Our teachers are always in the hallway, and they're usually talking amongst each other, trying to help a student, trying to find out where a student is. If they haven't seen a student in a long time, they'll come to me. I'll try calling them, they'll try calling them. This program is really strong when it comes to the benefit of the students and the care of the students and the ability to keep the students and wanting them to succeed. So I just want you to think about that and what they do to keep the students going and make them benefit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, hi, I'm Tanya Karpinski. Once I put my glasses on, I'll be able to see what's in front of me, but none of you. So if I'm not making contact, that's why. I'm the MEA UNISERV director, and I couldn't not attend tonight. I encouraged all of the staff and students that wanted to come and speak to let their voices be heard. This affects all of the unions I represent, from the secretaries, which I don't believe have been represented here tonight, to, oh, thank you, sorry, I didn't see you, now I have my glasses on, sorry, to Local 4, to the instructional staff, as well as you've heard from students attending. I think the overwhelming theme that you've heard tonight is imploring you to provide more time. You received a communication as board members asking you to go and visit Tinkham yourselves prior to tonight's vote and decision, and to speak to the staff and to the students and to get a better one-on-one or inside view look at what goes on in that center. When I was reviewing some information on Tinkham, take me just a second here to pull it up. What I pulled up that I thought was a good item to be recalled, or perhaps remembered if it has faded, comes from the school improvement plan for Tinkham that I pulled up in 2015. The mission statement states, "Our mission is to provide meaningful educational experiences to adult and alternative learners. We are a stepping stone to our students' future, ensuring lifelong learning and opportunities for generations." I think you've heard from some of those students here tonight, imploring you to let that opportunity continue. You have some that are in the middle of trying to get their diploma and need the additional time to plan for or complete that process. The belief statement was also on there. Tinkham Adult Education provides a strong foundation to continue academic goals and lifelong learning. All students are capable of learning and mastering content in order to achieve personal goals. Student achievement is demonstrated through academic success. Adult education teachers will have the necessary resources and support they need to effectively serve the adult learners in the program. I think we are closing the resources and opportunities.
Thank you, Tanya.
Good evening, my name is Tom Frobridge. Did anyone notice when they were pulling in that the parking lot is full at the Voc Tech Center? Certainly doesn't indicate a 67% dropout rate. And I too ask, like everyone else, that you table this vote for another time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi all, Ron Madison. There's only two of you that sat on the board, Carol and Shauna, when we closed schools. There was a lot of issues on what we're going to do next. What's going to happen to Tinkham? What's going to happen to that building? What's the cost of dismantling the building? The other question I have is, in all this program here of pages and pages of things, nowhere in here is there hard bids of these costs to renovate. These are just estimates, I gather? Being that this has to be prevailing wage, $500 to, or $1,500 to move wood shop equipment, I'd like to see that done with prevailing wages. I just know from experience that some of these won't happen at the price that's listed. Not to mention the fact that permits are need to be called in, plans are going to have to be drawn up. There are some things on this that emergency lighting, you just can't go in and put up lights somewhere and hope the city approves it. So you have architectural cost. TMP will have to be involved with that. There's costs with that associated with them, plus permit costs. So these numbers that are here are, from what I'm understanding, what the people are talking about aren't accurate per much as what's the actual count of students. So I ask of you guys to table it. Let's get some hard numbers. Let's figure out what's going to happen with what we're going to do with the schools that are going to be left empty again. Let's figure out what's really going on before we make a harsh decision and jump right into it. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, what I'll do is I'll allow the board members to ask Mr. Albright any questions that they might have or concerns at this time.
This is Melody Hines. I just have a few questions. I've been taking notes. With the night classes, how many do they have a night? Or how many teachers do they have per night? Like, how many night classes do they have typically?
They have upwards of 18, 19 classes at Career Tech.
19 over Career Tech. And one more question too, because I was looking over the amount of people. How many people will lose their job? Is it all the people on this page on 40, or how many people will lose their jobs with this transition?
I may look for a little help here. Some of the employees actually work full-time for us during the day and are part-time in the evening.
Yeah, in the summary report that Mr. Albrecht provided, it shows a total of 17.8 FTEs. That's actually comprised of 36 different people. 13 of those people work in the K-12 program here with the district. The other 23 people could be displaced from the district. They may or may not have employment opportunities during the day if they're part-time in the evening. Some of these jobs are 9 hours a week.
And I have another question. I just have a lot of questions because this is very important. I want to make sure I'm able to make a fair decision, so I just have a few more questions. And with the CTE, is there a way they can connect that with the Career Tech program, move them over to the Career Tech to kind of help out a little bit to keep people in their jobs and keep these students to get their credits?
The space at Career Tech is extremely limited. There are 2 classroom spaces there that we use for high school completion classes. There's no room for other classes.
I'm Dr. Weaver.
Mr. Albrecht, you mentioned earlier that community colleges are also offering this service.
That is correct.
That is correct, okay. And also that the state of Michigan has recently raised monies to go to, could you explain that a little bit? If not raised, they're certainly pouring money into community colleges for these services.
That in recent years, the governor's office and the legislature has moved money from the K-12 foundation budget into community college budgets, in an effort to provide this type of programming for adult students.
Thank you.
I guess I have one of the questions.
Mhm.
They mentioned that there were students who were close on credit, like maybe 2 to 4 credits away. What happens in that case? Is there other, do they transfer? How does that work?
There
for the
are other
students?
programs that they can transfer to. There's programs in Plymouth and Garden City that they can reach out and find that kind of programming.
I'm sorry. We're trying to conduct the, but you can't holler out. I'm sorry. I know it's emotional, but we have to have order in order to conduct the business at hand.
And community colleges provide high school completion opportunities
So they
as
would
well.
be, so if, say they went to a program that was in Plymouth, they would be able to, they wouldn't have to start over? They could
Assuming.
be- Assuming.
Assuming there was space for them, yes.
They would be able to take the credits that they currently have with them?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other questions or concerns? A lot. Mr. Buckaloo?
I think it goes without saying that everybody up here values the adult program. You only have to go to one graduation ceremony to know what a fantastic program this is. Some new questions came up, Mr. Albrecht. The cost of updating facilities to house the alternative program, how firm are those prices?
They're pretty firm. I mean, the alternative program is simply moving equipment over to it and putting a set of doors in, which basically creates a separation between the annex and the building, making it a school within a school.
You've got a price of somewhere between $82,000 and $83,000 to do that job.
That's correct.
And you think you're going to be within a couple $1,000s of doing that?
That's correct.
And you've cited an annual cost of, cost savings of $217,000, and you're reasonably certain that that's going to be the figure as well?
Yes.
We've had some discussions prior to this meeting about counseling for students and helping them to get where they need to be, and also some job placement services that might be available to help those teachers in the program who can't be absorbed into our other programs if they're looking outside the district. And I'm hoping that that's something that could come to fruition. I think that we have a lot of dedicated people working for us, and we don't want to cut them loose if that isn't an absolute necessity. One other thing, we're taking cuts as teachers. You may know that better than I do. You've just taken a new hit on your hard cap for insurance. You've given us 5% of your pay. There are no steps. There have been no raises. In effect, our teachers, our support staff, our administration seems to be giving our district about $10 million a year. That's unconscionable to begin with, but it's the way it is. That's the financial situation that we find ourselves in. And I, for one, would feel really bad if we allowed programs to exist that draw down on the K-12 general fund, which is what some of these programs are doing. As much as I respect what adult community ed does, as much as I respect the location at Tinkham, I keep looking at the general fund. I keep looking at a fund equity that's, if we're lucky, a little over 4%, which is enough money maybe to get us to next week if we had no other income. And we simply cannot permit programs that don't pay for themselves. And that is a terrible thing for me to say. I know that, because we're talking about people's lives, we're talking about their futures. But we can't afford not to make that decision either.
Yeah. First of all, I want to let you know that I've spent pretty much a whole week worrying about this issue, and doing my homework. I am very good at being a good student after being an educator for all those years. I subscribe to the starfish theory that it doesn't matter how many are on the beach, they all deserve to go back into the ocean. And that's the teacher in me. I want to know what alternative these students have. Where can they go? Some of the places that you just mentioned, I know, are not running their programs anymore. So I want to know what alternatives do we have that we can offer to them and direct them if this is the direction that we go in as a board. We can't leave them just hanging out there on the beach by themselves. Somebody needs to throw them back in to the ocean somewhere. So what direction do we go?
Again, we can direct them to the community colleges. Plymouth Canton runs a program at Starkweather that they can enroll in.
I think certainly working with other districts to identify others, we can provide that list. There are other adult education programs. I think that's the option, is to share that information as well as the community colleges. Unfortunately, as you well know, the state has changed funding structures for adult education, and many districts have closed those types of programs, but there are still some we can provide information for.
All right, and I'm not, I realize it's not our lack of frugality and spending on our budget. I realize that a lot of the state legislature and the governor has, to step up and take blame on this for putting us in this position. I just want to make sure that we offer them as much support going forward as we possibly can. And I know that if they're saying that they're having a hard time getting to the facility we have right now, how are they going to get to some of these others? So I think this is something we have a responsibility to them to provide this information and alternatives, even if it's a class online that can be taken by them.
I have before I go again, Ms. Madison, did you have anything that you
Oh,
wanted
I
to say?
have a lot to
Okay.
say.
I just wanted to make one more statement. My concern is that I don't want a financial manager to come in here. I don't want, because once one comes in here, no decisions will be made by any of us, and they're gonna come in and just do what they wanna do. So where would it put us? It was mentioned that if we hold off for a year or give an opportunity to come up with a different plan to kind of spread and maybe tentatively close it next year. I need to hear what the effect would be to the district. Where would that put us at? Do we know how much damage it would be to wait? So we need to see both sides. That's what I'm trying to say. We need to be able to, I'm not trying to just throw something. Do you understand?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Do you want to jump in?
Well, through the business, or through building and grounds, we're almost certain we're going to need a roof within the next 12 months. Our boiler is the same age as the one at Wildwood. It's a sister school. We're very concerned that it may not survive. And of course, the heating system, estimated value to replace the HVAC system is $1.6 million, and that's not even on our sinking fund list. It's some really serious concerns that could come our way very soon. I'm not an expert in that area, but that has been what is driving this exploration in the first place. That and the program evaluation second.
I think just the other thing to think about, if the building were to hold for a year, let's say we made it through a year with the building with no issues, then you still have the impact on the general fund, which is the difference between the revenue the adult education brings in, which is Section 107 funding, which has changed in the last year. It has changed just as recent as my coming here, and that's the state's design. Nobody wants that kind of thing to happen, but it did change. So you would have the draw between our costs for running the program and the funding received through Section 107, which John mentioned earlier is in the range of about $100,000 in terms of per pupil revenue, and then $200,000 in extra costs.
Yeah, I might add one second, because Dr. Harmon mentioned Section 107. That's one of the things that really concerns us and related to funding is that that's capped. We can't go out and recruit one more student and get more revenue. In fact, if we get one more student than our cap, that student is a drain on the general fund, providing that. It was mentioned that we used to run 4 nights of career tech. There's a reason we're only running 2 now, is because we were way beyond the cap, and those other 2 nights were drains on the general fund. So it's not a simple matter of just simply getting more participant students over the age of 19 that allows for us to increase that funding. It's just not there. So the only way to provide additional programming is to use our general fund to do it.
Have we contacted other districts to see what they might have available? All right, we need to throw these people a lifeline here. And I realize we need to be fiscally responsible. I get that.
Mr. Buckley, before I give you a chance, because we all have had one, let me give Mrs. Madison a chance to speak, and then we'll go back to you if that's okay.
Thank you. First and foremost, the thing that's sticking in my head the most at this moment is part of my primary focus that I wanted to be on school board. No child left behind. We're all somebody's child, no matter what age we are. And right now, I feel like we're leaving a whole lot of children behind at a very big expense beyond any dollar could put a value on. And for me, it's not so much about asking questions to you. You've provided information. I beg for my fellow board members to try something different. Let's table this and let's have a unique board meeting where we have everybody together and we bring the hardcore data and facts and we all try to come up with options and see if there's anything else we can do. I don't feel that what I've been provided is data. I'm seeing numbers here where I'm seeing custodial supplies of $4,223. Are these people planning to use toiletries at Way Memorial or not? Are we going to make them bring their own? How can we take that as a savings? What are they going to use? Touch-up paint, 7 classrooms. I am very, very blue collar. I am by far not white collar by any means. I've had my days of painting. I've had my days of pulling weeds and cleaning people's yards, painting for people, doing their laundry, cutting their grass. And I can tell you right now, I don't know anyone who's going to paint 7 classrooms for $2,500. If we can get that, then I want that hardcore in writing and not just here in an estimation. There's too much information here that's conflicting. The board has done this in the past. I, as a community member with my husband, came up to that podium years ago begging the board to look at the data before closing schools. We sat there and preached. I looked up laws. I had countless nights, countless weeks, trying to take care of my children while I was homeless, living with my parents with no job, no money, and spent my time not just looking for a job, not just educating myself, but reading laws. And I can tell you enough to know that some of the things I'm reading don't add up. And I can tell you enough that when I sat there at that podium begging this board that I am now a part of to look at that stuff, I said, my husband said, once we close a school, we can never open them again. We were laughed at. We were mocked. We were cut down. Where are we today? With schools torn down in vacant places in the middle of subdivisions that nobody wants that land for. I cannot make this kind of a decision just based on finding out in the last week, here's an idea, here's our plan. I can't do it. And I beg of you guys, be the difference. Let's be the culture that makes a difference, and we try a new way to go through this process and make sure, is there an alternative plan or not? I beg my fellow board, let's work through this together with the community.
Dr. Harmala, if it's the board's pleasure and that they decide that they would want to table it, how much time would your administration need to be able to get more information? And we're just saying, because this is something that we don't want to go into lightly.
No, and I think
And I want all the board members to be on, the same page. Anytime you're making life-changing decisions, so.
Sure, no, it's very important to look at all the comments and listen to them and hear what people have to say. We tried to do that all along. And so I guess I'm going to have to expand on the answer just a little bit. Depending on how long the delay is, will depend on, the work that can get done for a fall. There's really, what we're dealing with is one of a gamble of the building, which none of us can tell. So we want to be proactive about that. It's important that we aren't in the middle of the school year and the heater go out and then say, okay, do we spend the money to replace it? Where do we hold classes? What does that look like? So we're trying to be proactive in that regard. All of the work that's listed is basically done by our B&G folks, so it's not contracted out, it's B&G staff who do that work. That's why some of the prices are what they are, because it's not so much their staff time, because they already are here doing their work. It's the materials and such that we would need. So it would delay their work. I can't predict, but I know that if you were to say, we're going to go ahead with it, and you approved it tonight, Building and Grounds would need from tomorrow forward to be ready for the fall with all that would take place. So if we delayed by a month, and we should still carefully do it, but carefully think about it, but if you delay by a month, I might have to come back to you and say this could not be pulled off until, say, mid-semester, so a January change, or potentially the next spring, which would be a May, June, and then you would end at the end of the next school year. But I would really need to work with Building and Grounds to see what is possible in that amount of time. It could be approved in part and not approved in part. That way we're somewhere down the road, but I don't know what that means in terms of what the board is thinking about. So there could be moves, for example, to say we're going to relocate Pohai to the respite center. We're going to move technology. That adds to your cost while it's not reducing any cost, because we have to renovate the respite center in order to move people. So we have to kind of look at all of those features. It really is rooted in our concern about the building itself, and that if we end up having building issues, we're going to end up having to fix them, either A, at the cost of the general fund, or B, looking at, in somewhat of a rush, where do we provide service and program. And then last of all, as John shared, there's not an ability with the shifts in the funding for adult ed to go out and try and raise revenue for the program. It just doesn't exist anymore. The funding shifted over a year ago, and the way the model is set up now, it's much different than it was before. And I think in our study, and certainly am willing to be corrected on this, as we looked at adult education programs with the career technical side of it, which we provide, we're the last school district doing that. And one might say, well, why would we give it up? But there's a reason why we're the last, because we're holding out, trying not to cut program and service to our community member. But it is costing us to do that, because the funding is not there that used to be there in the past. So I know that's not a direct answer, but I want you to be clear that it's somewhat of a gamble in terms of when we could decide. But I think you should weigh it carefully and listen to the comments and make your decision based on what direction you would like us to have.
Thank you. Mr. Buckley.
Mr. Albert, I saw two figures that were a drain on the general fund. One was for about $100,000, maybe 117, I forget. The other one was for about $38,000. Is the difference between adult ed and and the alternative program?
No, there's a combination of two. There was 38 and 60 and change that made up the $110,000 in per pupil funding. So there's a per pupil foundation, just over 38,000, that is currently deployed in the Career and Tech Center evening program, and about $60-some thousand in the adult program at Tinkham that is pupils. Those are students under the age of 20, and they're in the high school completion program. Again, I'll refer back to what I said. Those pupils that we're getting funding for at Tinkham are students we're moving into the alternative program as a result of that redesign, leaving the participants, the over 19-year-olds, the ones that we have capped funding for.
Okay, one last thing. Should it be the pleasure of the board to delay this for a month, perhaps, Mr. Albrecht, two things you might consider would be to bring us some information on the extension of one semester versus two, and any possibility of locating the adult program in a facility other than Tinkham. I know that we have empty space. Whether we have suitable empty space is another matter. And again, if it isn't the pleasure of the board to delay, then I'm good with that as well.
Is there any,
Oh, I was just going to say, I think we'd have to go back and look at feasibility of other spaces. Nothing is at least jumping out in my mind in terms of all the things we've looked at, but we certainly would look at that with Building and Grounds and get back to you as what potential options may be, if there are any. But I can't answer that for you honestly tonight.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
I have a question. If we do choose to delay this until next month, would our plan then include alternatives for our students and a way to counsel them to making good decisions going forward?
By alternatives, do you mean making them aware of other programs? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the feasibility of them attending them, working with their schedules and their issues with transportation, but also counseling them to make sure that they make good decisions in what is available, because not every program is going to bring them the success that they're looking for.
Right. I think we could identify other programs. I think finding the match is probably a little harder, and then transportation, certainly, as we're all aware, public transportation isn't the strongest suit in many of the communities, not unique to here, of course. So I don't know how we would bridge that gap for folks, depending on where the program is located. But I certainly think a starting point is helping people to identify what the program options are, and John named some of those tonight. We certainly can identify others and would be able to put those in front of folks. But I don't know the degree to which we can provide what you would consider counseling staff to help support their move to another program with existing staff, nor do I think we could solve the transportation problems. We have plenty of those that we are dealing with internally ourselves. So I want to be very honest about that and not overpromise on anything.
I just had a quick question, because I've seen a lot of tenure. I really appreciate you guys working so long in your area. Is there a way, like Carol said, can we do like a curriculum with online cyber school, since we don't have the space and we can't afford the money? Can we do like how Westwood had like a cyber academy, something more innovative where we can not have to use the bill? We can still move some people over to the annex, but still have like for some of the people like some type of cyber web-based type curriculum so they can finish the rest of their credits and still have the teachers teach, but we don't have to lose jobs.
Those are available to students under the age of 20. All of them have that capability. There are cyber schools, and we actually can provide that opportunity through our program as well. So
I think we have to be careful of the distinction between what are called pupils which are students under the age of 19, and what are called participants, which are adults who are over that age, and what public education options are available for the older adults is very different than what's available for K-12. And that has been changing regularly across time, as one example I shared with you, how the Section 107 funding has changed.
Any other discussion or
Yeah.
questions?
Just to everyone who is here tonight, by a show of hands, how many of you would be willing within the next couple of weeks to give up a little bit of your time to maybe be included in the process, and where we could better look at the information and maybe get a little bit more of your input and ideas? And then that way, if this should happen to be the end result, then at least we would all better understand. And then if not, we might have an even better outlook that we never even could be thinking of. Is it possible that maybe within the next couple of weeks, the board could hold some open forum meeting to where we could get data? Because I don't see where a whole nother month of everybody just kind of dangling, and then everybody as their own independents going and asking for information, and then they're going to give us back what they think one person or a group may want. I'm asking for open forum collaboration, that this is a community/team effort, and then at the end, we'll make the decision.
So at this time, it would be the pleasure of the board of which your motion would be. And so I would need a motion on whichever way you're going to go. So we would need to either have a motion to vote on what has been presented before us, or we would need to have a motion on whether we're going to table it. But either way, I would need a motion. There's
I
no
need a
motion on the
motion.
floor right now.
I need a motion, or I will make a motion that we vote tonight.
So I have a motion. I need a support. Okay. So motion fails for lack of support. So now I would need another motion.
I would like to motion that we table this and have a separate special meeting to include the community and collect more data.
Support. So, at this time, on the floor, we have a motion to table let me make sure we have this right, that we're going to table it. Are we putting a time frame to next month? What is the motion reading? How are we doing this?
Could I just remind the board, if I might, that we have currently have 2 meetings scheduled in June. We have one June 6th and another budget hearing June 27, if that helps in whatever motions you decide to craft.
Okay, so, Mrs. Madison, to be clear, your motion is that you want to have another separate from our regular. We're not just tabling it to the next
Correct.
meeting. We're going to have, you want to table it to have a study session, pretty much. Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And you're supporting what she has put on the, okay?
Yeah.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mrs. Madison.
Yes.
I vote no. Madam President,
Yes.
let the record reflect that there are 5 against and 1 for.
Just so I make sure I...
5-4.
5 for and 1 against.
To make sure I follow through and get the actions going. Is the desire of the board to convene before the June 6th meeting, or are we really just looking for an agreeable date?
It's going to be very hard.
That was my concern with all the night events that
Because
are
we're
coming
in
up.
the
So
middle
as
of-
long as I know I don't have that pressure of the prior to the June 6th and can find an agreeable date, then I have a little more flexibility to work. But
What
if you
I
were hoping
probably
I
would
was done by
suggest
then,
is
I was
that
going to worry a
Maybe we
bit.
could do a study session. I don't know how the work schedules, maybe a study session on the same day of the June 6th meeting,
But earlier.
earlier, that we would have a meeting earlier that day, on the same day as that meeting. In that way, because there's no way that we can have it before, because we have graduations.
Right.
So if we can have the study session prior to the June 6th meeting. Is that feasible?
Can we look at people's calendars for that, and then if not, look at an alternate date and just know it would come later in the month then? Because I think the other thing then I'll have to bring to you is the ramifications of delay, so that we know for sure what that means.
Well, I think the concern is that we, and for not just us, but the whole administration, is that
Correct.
we need to move on this in a timely manner. And we
Right.
don't really want to hold it up more than a month. And so I would suggest that we do the study session on the same day as the regular board meeting, so that we can vote on it at the regular board meeting.
And I'm pretty confident with how quickly Plymouth Canton built their schools, our construction crews would be more than happy to keep our business and be a little bit overly efficient if we should decide to move forward construction-wise. I'm confident they would stick within a time constraint.
Does the 6th work? Is that what we want to do earlier? And I would recommend we should schedule ample time.
It's the regular board, it's the
Yeah,
regular
Like a 5
schedule.
or 6 o'clock meeting.
Yes.
6 o'clock leaves you only an hour. I guess
5
my
o'clock.
recommendation would be we for sure get here at 5.
5
So
o'clock,
is
yes.
that the pleasure of the board? 5 o'clock on the 6th of June? And it would be prior to our regular meeting. And
So
we
that the
would.
vote can be brought at the regular meeting.
So,
on the 6th.
let me just, if it would be okay, President Walker, I'd like to go back through a couple of notes to make sure there's not missing pieces in
Okay.
data that we would bring back. I think there was lots of conversation around, is the data accurate relative to things like enrollment and drop? That's easy enough data. I'm going to ask John and Kelly and Jim if you'd jot my comments down as I'm flipping through my notes, so that we have them. So I think there was certainly issue around whether that enrollment drop data was accurate, just so that we're aware, not as something as good or bad. That we look at the number of graduates or the number of participants and how close they are to finishing, whatever finishes for them, whether it's graduation or taking a GED or whatever it happens to be. There was some conversation relative to the costs that were provided and who's providing them, and are they accurate, and do they truly reflect the actual changes that would need to be made? What other programs and services would be available for the participants currently in the program, whether here or in other places? And how might we get information to them, as well as what kind of transportation options might exist? And if you give me a minute to take a look at the rest of my notes. Certainly concern that staff had relative to additional positions, whether here or in other places. If I've missed something major, please jump out now. They could be hidden in my notes, but I tried to make a quick scan of those.
You hit the major.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right.
Is the June 6th the regular?
Yep, we have 2 in June. June 6th is the first, and June 27 is the budget hearing.
One important thing to me also included into that is not just that, but as far as construction services, regardless if it's a matter of within a month or not, I'm not seeing the logistics behind the expense changing on the district's part, let alone the time constraint. So I would like a little bit more in-depth onto the construction service side, either direction of if we choose another option or continue in that path. I'd
Do you mean
certainly
about the
like to
building
know,
itself?
Wherever these bids came from, whoever's supplying our bids and
Yep.
going to do the work, they should be willing to work with us regardless of our decision
Oh.
and what direction we go, without incurring additional expenses on the same items
Got it. Thank you.
to maintain our business.
Okay. I think that I've got it all.
Okay,
All right,
thank you. So,
Madam President, would you
Yes.
indulge me for 30 seconds?
yes, I will.
Because we're delaying, doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to change and do something different at our next board meeting. It could very well be that your honest and emotional approach isn't going to change the bottom line. You need to know that. And the second thing I want you to be aware of, we're most likely going to spend $500,000 while you're walking towards the door. That's sinking fund money, and there's no way that that funding is available to your program. And I don't want you to think that we've got all of this money that we can spend and we're not willing to spend any of it on you. In fact, none of that money can be spent to extend your programs. And I wanted to get that out of the way before you leave with the wrong conception of what we're doing here. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, so we're good. So moving on to item number 259.16, review and approval of human resource items. And at that time, you can cover both A and B.
Okay, great. Kelly Wolf.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, I have the pleasure of recommending for your approval the placement of Mr. Jameson Duvall as the Network Administrator. Jameson has an extensive background in network administration, having worked the past 14 years as a systems architect for DFCU Financial. In addition to his position at DFCU, since February of this year, Jameson has been working on a part-time basis in the evenings as a network technician for the district. Jameson's strong troubleshooting and technical support skills have become evident in that time. The technology department feels very fortunate that Jameson may join the district on a full-time basis in the new capacity. So I'm asking for your approval for that appointment.
Thank you. Take a motion at this time.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Mrs. Madell, supported by Mrs. Madison. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Mrs.
sorry.
Madison?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
Mrs. Madell?
Yes.
I vote yes, Madam President.
Yes.
Let the record reflect a 6-0 vote.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Duvall had a conflict tonight and was not able to join us, but our next recommendation for Miss Amy G. is present in the audience, along with the representation I see of the Hicks Elementary staff. I'm recommending for your review and approval the placement of Miss Amy G. as the principal of Hicks Elementary School. Ms. G's appointment would be effective July 1st, 2016. Ms. G has an extensive background in education. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in elementary and special education and a master's degree in educational leadership. She also holds corresponding certifications for each. Ms. G is currently serving as an elementary principal in the Van Buren Public Schools, and prior to that, she was a principal in the Detroit Public Schools, specifically at the Trix Performance Academy.
Okay, thank you. Motion, or,
Move approval.
moved by
Support.
Dr. Weaver, supported by Mrs. Madison. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Madison?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
I vote yes, Mrs. Madell.
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Madam President,
Yes.
let the record reflect a 6-0 vote.
Thank you. Congratulations. Would you like to come and have a few words?
I just wanted to thank you all, good evening, for the opportunity to be here. I am super, super excited and feel very blessed and honored to be accepted into the Hicks family. I just want it to be known that it was a position that I did a lot of extensive research on prior to my employment of applying for the position. I pride myself on working with staff members that are very dedicated in building turnaround and moving a building forward. And from the research that I've done on the position, as well as with the awesome staff, I think it speaks volumes that they're here tonight to welcome me, is to only move this building forward in the only direction I know, which is up. So I'm very, very blessed to be here. I thank you for the opportunity, and waiting patiently to get up here for this moment. So thank you very much for welcoming me not only to the Hicks family, but also to the Wayne Westland. Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time.
Moving on to item number 2. You didn't bring anyone with you today, did you?
I did not.
Okay, because we.
I have plenty of people at home.
Okay.
There's not room here.
Okay, all right.
No, thank you very much.
260.16, review and approval of business services and finance items. Mr. Larson Scheidler.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. Based on a review of the district building mechanical systems by Peter Basso Engineering Firm, I'm recommending replacement of Graham Elementary's cooling tower. We had a public bid, was solicited, and was opened May 3rd, 2016. District received 3 bids, which are in your packet. The lowest bidder, ABM Building Solutions of Troy, was selected. The alternate bid to replace the pump and install variable frequency drive fan motors were also selected. Total contract award to ABM is $77,230. TMP and district staff will oversee the project. Per contract, TMP will be reimbursed on an hourly basis, Indirect costs total $8,722 with a contingency of $6,178.
Thank you. Okay. I'll take a motion at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Madison,
Second.
supported by Mr. Buckaloo. Discussion, you had a question?
I have a question. What is the lifespan on a cooling tower?
Probably 20, 30 years, 20, 25 years.
Have we ever replaced the one at Graham, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge, I don't know.
Okay.
I would have to check that.
All right, then maybe it's the one at Stevenson I'm thinking about then.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Mrs. Madell?
Yes.
Mrs. Madison?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
I vote yes. Madam President,
Yes.
let the record reflect a 6-0 vote in the affirmative.
Thank you. Item B, please.
All right, thank you again, Madam President. This is for the above-ground gas storage tank at Transportation. District currently has underground gas storage tanks at Transportation. Due to the age of these tanks, we had a difficult time securing insurance, which is required, which necessitates replacing the tanks. Bids were opened May 3rd, 2016. District received, actually only received one bid. We had, this is a project that requires a contractor that specializes in fuel storage tank installations. There are limited companies that perform this work in Michigan. The second bidder, Matt Sack, did not bid due to their current workload for summer. They could not meet the scheduling to be done before school opened. So Oscar Larson is the only bidder. They will be acting as the general contractor on the project. TMP will oversee the project, and per contract, TMP will receive their contractual percentage rate of 5.85%. The project is allowable under sinking fund expenditure as a structure per the Department of Treasury guidelines. Indirect costs totaled $21,562, and testing and permits $13,000.
Okay, at this time, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Oh, we're gonna get there, 1 second. Moved by Mrs. Madison,
I'll second it.
supported by Mrs. Madell. Any discussion, Mrs. Hines?
I just had a quick question. Now, with this saying the total, the total recommendation amount for transportation facility above ground gas storage tank is $421,125?
Yes.
So why is it so expensive?
Well, most of it is digging out the underground storage tanks, and what you have to do is you have to take that contaminated dirt and you have to clean it. So it's quite expensive to do it, and plus, very few people are specialized in that area. Oscar Larson is one of the leading in the state, the only one that bid on it.
And the safety and storage of it being above ground, I'm a little concerned about that. If a fire were to happen, or how will it be secured?
Yeah. Well, you have a spillage area around it. Could a tank blow up? Yeah, sure it could. But it would be secured and protected.
Any more discussion?
Yes, I just wanted to confirm and clarify, are we still within the law by being that we only received one actual bid and we didn't put it back out for rebid? Is that due to it being such a special service that
Yes.
keeps us within the parameters?
Well, we bid it out for the contractual time, required time, and you're not. If we put it out for bid again, you're not going to get more than one or two bids.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Well, for clarification, it was just my interpretation of the law that if you did not receive 3 bids, then you must repost it one more time.
No, you don't have to.
Just wanted to clarify.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
Mrs. Madison?
Yes.
Mrs. Madell?
Yes.
I vote yes, Madam President.
Yes.
Let the record reflect a 6-0 vote in the affirmative.
Thank you. Item C?
Okay, thank you again, Madam President. This is for Aramark Food Service contract renewal. This is the second renewal of the 5-year contract that was approved June 2014. Aramark performs food service management, overseeing and operating the district's breakfast, lunch, and dinner programs. In 2014-15, the district served over $2.5 million meals. 2.5 million meals, sorry. The breakfast and dinner programs, I would say, are universal. That means there is no charge to students. And I think we have Joanne. Yes, she's still here. Joanne Gross is with us.
Thank you.
She's from Aramark.
Okay. I'll take a motion at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Madison.
Support.
Supported by Ms. Hines. Any discussion?
I have to disclose. This is my once-a-year disclosure that my oldest daughter works for Aramark Food Services in another state. There is no way that her job is tied to this contract with our school district, and there's no way that our school district contract is tied to my daughter's job. So with that said, she's in a different state. She's worked for Aramark for over 10 years, and in no way is this an issue for our school district. So with that disclosed, then I am free to go ahead and vote today.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Madell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
Mrs. Madison?
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
I vote yes, Madam President.
Yes.
Let the record reflect a 6-0 vote in the affirmative.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 261.16, review and approval Wayne County Regional Educational Services Agency, which is Wayne RESA, budget resolution. Dr. Hermala.
Yes, we have a lengthy recommended motion in your packet through conversations with the Finance Committee as well as my participation as a superintendent on the Act 18 subcommittee for Wayne RESA. We had some concerns that we shared with RESA and want to continue to work through relative to their budget. Certainly, our board's approval or disapproval of their budget does not stop Wayne RESA from doing their business, but ensuring that they hear from their constituents as well. I wanted to make sure I put in the motion that if you were to approve the budget, I would share with them that we would recommend your approval only with the condition of the ongoing review, discussion, and consideration of the Act 18 funding structure by the necessary local districts and RESA representatives, of one of which I am a part, inclusive of such things as the MIPSR's reimbursement, the indirect rate, center program supervisory costs, revenues in excess of expenditures, fund balance, and the use of center programs as described in the Special Education County Plan. Obviously, I've kind of named for you what my concerns are, what I've shared with them, and what we're continuing to work through. There's a lengthy resolution in your packet that includes this same language should you choose to approve their budget. And I'm happy to say that our first meeting to discuss some of these issues with the superintendents around the Act 18, which for the public, Act 18 is the special education millage in a county, and those funds can only be used for special education program and services. And each county has a plan for how those services will be provided and what the funding is for. So if you would be willing to approve their budget with those conditions, that would be what my recommendation is, and I'll leave it to you to make that decision.
Thank you. I'll take a motion.
Move approval.
Moved by Dr. Weaver. Any support?
Support.
Supported by Mrs. Madison. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. RESA is our friend. They do a lot of good things for us. But their budgeting policy with regard to Act 18 is one of the reasons that we're going to have additional budgetary problems ourselves next year. I will support this, but I also support Dr. Harmala's position in making known our dissatisfaction.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
Mrs. Madison?
Yes.
Mrs. Madell?
No.
I vote yes. President Walker?
Yes.
Let the record reflect a 5-1 vote in the affirmative.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 262.16, proclamation honoring the city of Westland's 50th anniversary. Dr. Armala?
Yes, in your packet is a proclamation honoring the 50th anniversary of the city of Westland, given our partnerships with them and the work we're doing collaboratively with all of our cities, but this happens to be their celebration of their 50th anniversary. I'll quickly read it for the listening audience, but I would ask that you would affirm this resolution, and we can sign it, and in essence, it functions like a birthday card for them, if you will. But whereas the city of Westland was established on May 16, 1966, and whereas the city of Westland was named after the Westland Shopping Center, and whereas the city of Westland is the 10th largest city in Michigan with a population of 84,094, and whereas the city of Westland has several sites that have been designated with historical markers, including the Chief Tonquish Burial Site, Cooper School, Annapolis Park Historic District, Eloise, Norwayne Subdivision, Nankin Mills, Perrinsville, and Perrinsville School. And whereas the Wayne Westland Fire Authority responds to over 1,500 calls per year, making it the busiest suburban fire department for call volume in southeast Michigan, and that number seems wrong. And whereas the Westland Police Department is only one of 6 departments in the state of Michigan to be commissioned for the accreditation for law enforcement agencies, certified the gold standard in public safety. And the city of Westland is the birthplace of NHL Hall of Fame hockey player Mike Modano, American Idol finalist and country music star Josh Grayson, Miss Michigan 2008 Ashley Barrissey, and Olympic figure skater Carol Fox. And whereas in 2014, the city of Westland was named one of the Wall Street's 24/7's America's best 50 cities to live. And if we can correct that number in the fire authority, which I believe we got from them.
We
but
actually
it's-
have 15,000 in ours.
Oh, yours looks different than mine.
Yeah, ours
All
is
right,
different.
my printing is gone.
Well, it's a zero missing. but
Thank
there's
you.
There's a zero missing, but
I
there's
thought a
comma
comma
after
was in the
5.
wrong spot, or, thank you. So we'll make sure the one we have us sign is correct. But if you would like to sign on to wish them a wonderful proclamation for their 50th anniversary, I would recommend that.
Okay, thank you. Do we need to vote on that, or?
Have a
Okay.
motion and an
All right,
approval,
at this
please.
time, I'll take a
So
motion.
moved.
Moved by, was that Mrs. Madison?
Second.
Okay. Second by Mrs. Madell. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Madison,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines.
Yes.
Mrs. Madell.
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo.
Yes.
I vote yes, Madam President.
Yes.
Let the record reflect a 6-0 vote in the affirmative.
Okay, 263.16, Head Start Monthly Report. Mrs. Madell.
As you received in your packet is the financial statement as required by federal law. And to let everybody know that registration is now open, and they will be participating in the Jefferson Barnes Resource Fair that the city is sponsoring. So they will have a table there with a lot of information for their Head Start program for next school year.
Okay, yes, thank you. Moving on to item number 264.16, Board of Education Committee Reports. We have 2 from the Finance, and Dr. Weaver's going to read that to the record.
Finance Committee meeting, April 28th, 2016. The Finance Committee met on April 28th, 2016, from 2:30 p.m. to 3:45 p.m. Committee members in attendance were Trav Griffin, Tom Buckaloo, and Carol Madell, who was substituting for Fred Weaver. District staff in attendance were Michelle Harmala, John Albrecht, Kelly Bowl, and Jim Larson Scheidler. The committee discussed the following items: properties received in the Inkster School District dissolution, Wayne County RESA 216-17 budget, Wayne County enhancement millage, Transportation Department updates, printing solutions, and Moody bond rating. Minutes of the Finance Committee meeting can be found on page 52 of the board agenda for May 16, 2016. That should read April, shouldn't it? No, okay. Finance Committee meeting for May 9th, 2016. The Finance Committee met on May 9th, 2016 from 2 until 5 p.m. Committee members in attendance were Trav Griffin, Tom Buckaloo, and Fred Weaver. District staff in attendance were Michelle Harmala, John Albrecht, Kelly Bowl, and Jim Larson-Scheidler. Randy Liepa and Steve Ezekian from Wayne County RESA were also in attendance to discuss the 16-17 Wayne County RESA budget. The committee discussed the following items: Wayne County RESA 16-17 budget, Tinkham Alternative Education Program. Minutes from the Finance Committee meeting can be found on page 53 of the board agenda for May 16th.
Thank you, Dr. Weaver. 265.16 Superintendent's Report, Dr. Hamala.
Yes, thank you very much, President Walker. I have a couple of items I'd like to share tonight. First, I want to thank all of those who shared their thinking about the proposed and considered changes regarding the relocation of some of our services and the discontinuation of others. Some staff shared their perspectives tonight at this meeting, others shared their perspectives in writing, and others in various meetings held within the district. Making decisions like tonight, or even those recommendations, are never easy, and we will continue to seek the input of our students, parents, staff, and community as we proceed. In some cases, our decisions align with individual thinking, and in other cases not. But ultimately, our work will continue to be collaborative, at times trying, and ultimately, our decisions will be centered on what allows us to best accomplish our educational mission. I am a believer in the process. People hear me say, trust the process all the time. It sometimes curves in directions we don't expect, but I trust the process and I appreciate others doing the same. So I wanted to thank all those who have now left, but pass my thanks on to them. I don't blame them. It ends up being a long night. I would also like to share a little bit about the Revenue Estimating Conference. You may have heard that the State Treasury is estimating that their revenue is below what they had anticipated earlier. We had received school aid proposals from the governor, the House, and the Senate that included an increase in funding of approximately $120 per pupil. Since the Revenue Estimating Conference is a key determinant to finalizing next year's budget, we'll need to wait and see if there will be any revisions to that potential per pupil increase. As you're aware, Wayne Westland is funded with the state's lowest per pupil allowance. We're not alone in that category, but this was not always the case for Wayne Westland Community Schools. I'll keep you posted as to the budget process, and we're planning to bring you the 16-17 proposed budget in the June 27 Board of Education meeting. We had a visit from Deputy Superintendent for Education Services at the Michigan Department of Education, Ms. Norma Jean Sass. She came to see us on May 4 of 2016. The state superintendent and his key department leaders are visiting school districts throughout the state to see what's going on, to celebrate our successes, and to hear about our needs. We had the opportunity to showcase our William D. Ford Career Tech Education Center, to share our concerns about the state's added cost formula for career tech education programs. We visited Wayne Memorial High School's Reading Apprenticeship Program, which was recently presented to you, and its Champions of Wayne Memorial High School program. We also visited Schweitzer Elementary, where our students presented their Leader in Me school culture. Ms. Sass is a tremendous advocate for public education and a skilled instructional leader. I've had the opportunity to work with her for many years, and in addition to sharing our programs, I was able to share with her the concerns we have for our funding and the challenges that this presents for delivery of service and attraction and retention of personnel. We do, however, appreciate the department's efforts to visit school districts to see what's going on and to hear perspectives from the field. And finally, we're coming on the end of the year. It's an exciting time for everybody, and I would like to encourage all of our graduating seniors to finish the year academically strong and, above all, in a safe manner. You have a great future ahead of you. To all of our other students, keep your focus. We have a few more weeks, and I know you'll do wonderful things and accomplish much by keeping your focus on your learning and your success. Thank you, President Walker.
Thank you, Dr. Hamala. Moving on to 266.16, Citizen Comments, non-agenda items.
Good evening again. Just a quick question about the school district dissolution, the properties being considered for considering to deed them back to Inkster. Is this just the preliminary discussion being had with the district, or, I mean, it was just a snippet here about it? Is that, I mean, we're arguing about $150,000 keeping adult ed open, which is less than 1/10 of our $110 million budget. And I don't think we're in a position to give away land to anyone. So is this just preliminary, or that's my question? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
It was just a little window view until my son got in there to what a big open door of possibilities that our district offers. Through that, my son proceeded through not only graduating high school with a certification in welding from the Career Tech program here at John Glenn, Wayne Westland Community Schools, but also as an EMT, and was awarded a scholarship to continue on to paramedic. He successfully graduated that and continued on with another scholarship to Schoolcraft College for Fire Academy. Just a couple weeks ago, he graduated from Fire Academy and is looking to join one of our local forces. It's very important to me that we all look at every child and think not just of the dollar, but of the investment. Because now he's successfully able to take care of himself and start building on taking care of his own family once he chooses to go in that direction of a family. We have to look at the whole picture, the whole future. That's just one of my children out of 4 of a simple success story that I'll share tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Hines.
I'd like to thank the students that came today for the Pledge of Allegiance. That was greatly appreciated. I'd like to thank all the hard work of our staff members. You are deeply appreciated. And a personal shout out, I'd like to thank David Ingram. He was an awesome principal. I'm going to miss him. I see Andrew Rosinski over at Hicks. I'm going to miss him as well, and Mr. Bobby Keller. We have some awesome staff, and I just want to find ways that we can really keep these people in the district because we're losing a lot of talent. We were able to do Leader in Me over at Schweitzer. I was able to inspect the grounds when I did like a 5K for the Champions program. I didn't even know they had like hills in the flats behind Wayne Memorial. So you guys keep the property up fabulous. Even at John Glenn, we had to walk for the JROTC in the backfield. So you guys do a really good job of keeping these grounds safe and just beautiful. And I just like to give a nice shout out to Trav today for being the mayor. He's over at West End City Hall. And I just like to thank you guys for, being honest. And I mean, it was a very difficult meeting today, but I'm glad that we were able to at least come up with something temporary until we can figure out a better solution, because honestly, I didn't really feel comfortable voting on something. I had a little bit more information. So thank you, board. I really appreciate you just allowing just a tiny bit more time to really look into the situation.
Thank you. Dr. Weaver?
I'm speechless, and with that, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bucklew?
Well, I too would like to say congratulations to Mr. Ingham. I had the pleasure of working for him not too many years ago when he was an assistant principal, and again when he was a principal at John Glenn. To our good friend Trav Griffin, kudos to him. He's with the other former mayors of the city of Westland and being honored as we sit here tonight, and an honor well-fitting. But also to Ms. Hines, who performed an interpretive dance, a praise dance I think it was called, and you were fantastic. I thought about getting up and joining you, but I didn't. We opened a time capsule today, and everything from toy cars to a pack of Kent cigarettes to a can of Strohs that did not stand the test of time and leaked everywhere. But it was good to see the time capsule and the kinds of things that were contained there. And I understand that they are going to put a new one in the ground in the next few weeks, months, and they're looking for suggestions as to what should go in this new time capsule. The Chingham and adult ed issue is a serious one. You heard the people speak, and the emotion that they feel, their love for the program is genuine. It isn't something they brought in tonight. It's something that you can see every year at graduation time. They're a very special group of people. At the same time, we have to think about something like 10,000 plus students in this district, and we have to provide programs that are affordable for all of our students. And if we have to cut a program, which I hope we never have to do, but if we have to cut that program, it will be in the interest of the greater number of our students. And I hope, no, I don't hope, I know that this board will make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Modell.
Well, this last month, we had a chance to go to a lot of different events where we got to see our students that aren't always in the forefront in unique situations. We get a chance to go to the Employer Appreciation Breakfast to see our co-op students who are out in the workforce and being successful on their path. We get a chance to see the Upward Bound students at their banquet and awards and see how successful they are doing. We got a chance to go to the Zebra Safari, which will help with expenses for prom and graduation for the students at Wayne High. And knowing that there's prom closets out there available with clothing for prom, there are a couple in our community, so hopefully they are being well used so that no student is left behind when it comes to prom. We also got a chance to see Abraham Lincoln again over at Franklin Middle School. Fred Priebe always does such a great job, and got a chance to show the students that Abraham Lincoln had a sense of humor, that it wasn't all just, you know, the straight face that we see him in the picture on the $5 bill, by the way, and making sure that the students understand that he was a real person, that he had character, that he used his humor sometimes in difficult situations. The students were just absolutely enamored with his presentation, so hopefully that will continue. Congratulations to the City of Westland. It was a real moment in time for me to go back down memory lane. It doesn't seem like it's been 50 years, but congratulations. They've made it successful. Congratulations to Amy on her new position. It sounds like she's enthusiastic and ready to just jump right in with the staff. I'm always amazed when I go over there that there must be something in the water, and I'm not talking about lead. I'm talking about the issue that they have over there where there's always somebody pregnant. So I think somebody needs to send her a memo. So, you know, one of those, hopefully this won't happen to you. I came to this meeting today ready to vote. Like I said earlier, I had done my homework, and if that was the direction that the board went in, I was ready to vote. I think by taking a step back, taking a breath, might be good for everybody to make sure that we are completely ready to go forward so people understand. We had tasked our superintendent with turning over every stone because as a board, we are legally obligated to be fiscally responsible. It's not easy in these times. It hasn't been easy since I got on school board, but it's not my fault. There are tough decisions that we have to make, and we try to do the least amount of damage when we do make those decisions. And hopefully going forward, we will make sure that we take in every aspect of a student's career in our district to make sure that we are giving them every chance we possibly can financially, educationally, to help them be successful, even if they are the starfish that you have to throw back and keep throwing back until they get the message that we want you to be successful. So we will do our best for each one of our students, whether they're K-12 or whether they are in another program that we offer. We will be there to make good decisions for our students and our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Liddell. I just want to start off by, again, thanking our pledge students from Wildwood, Alexandria, Elizabeth, and Gabrielle Fall. Some of you may know I serve on the Wayne County Association of School Board Executive Board, and what our task is to bring education to our school board members. And also, we provide the awards dinners. You know that we all get different forms of certifications. And each year, Wayne County, Oakland County, each county does their own awards. Well, this year, Wayne Westland hosted the awards, which was a great year to host it because we had two of our very own board members, Mr. Tom Buckalow and Dr. Fred Weaver, who received their Master Diamonds Awards. And that's not an easy task to get. So I would like to give them a applause for that. So with that being said, being a hosting school, there's a lot of work that goes into it and a lot of people that had to participate to make it successful, which it was successful. They're still talking about it, and we held it at the William Ford, and we have had so many calls and so many people who are interested in trying to get their schools to be a part of the co-op program to bring their kids there. So it was a good look for Wayne Westland. So I'm very proud of Wayne Westland and how we portrayed ourselves. So with that being said, there were a lot of people who had to be involved, and I want everyone to get their due recognition for it. So starting with the culinary arts, we had Chef Anthony Paquette. Of course, you know he put on a show. They thought they were at the Ocean Prime. That was a very good meal. We had Chef David Haddon, teacher assistant, Chef Mary Dobbs, teacher assistant, Chef Samantha Dye, teacher assistant, and Mrs. Lisa DeGroat, teacher assistant, as well as all the culinary arts students. They did phenomenal. And then we even had a student presentation where she did a banana Foster in front of everyone. She did that, and they were so impressed. We had the game design program, and so J.C. Irvin, the instructor, he had his students there, and they showed some game design and programming. Electronics and robotics, Zachary McLean, the instructor. The custodians, we can't forget them. Dave Mytak, Kristen Bryant, Julie Thompson, Brittany Hager, Sabrina Griffin, and Brenda Gambrill. Communications and print, we were able to do everything in-house, so it didn't cost us anything above the ticket price that we charge each member to come in. So, I mean, it was just great all the way around. So communications and print was Nick Appleby. The ROTC did their thing, Sergeant Michael Bickford and his JROTC students. The Wayne Memorial Choir Director, Ariel Washaway, and she brought her students over and they sung the national anthem. Now this is the kicker because we have to provide entertainment, so we did something totally different. We gave an opportunity for our John Glenn Step team to perform, and they, you know, they really shined. They did a good job. So I want to thank Jacqueline Morrell for her bringing her step students over. So then the Career Tech for providing their building and just doing an excellent job. Principal Stephen Kay, the secretary Karen Truesdale, Pam Pierce, the bookkeeper, and they did swag bags. They were able, so everything in the swag bag had everything Wayne Westland. So anything time they picked up a pencil, it said Wayne Westland. So it was really good marketing. The artwork, we had the children's artwork portrayed all around. So I want to thank Ann Chambers from Tinkham, Melissa Kosek, FMS, Bethany Cook, MMS, and AMS. And with all that being said, if it wasn't for these two ladies here to pull all those people together, we wouldn't have been able to have such a success. So I want to personally stand up and applaud Cheryl Watson and Sue Lawson. Thank you so much. You ladies made our district shine. I mean, shine. I'm like the talk of the school board thing out there, so it's a good thing. With that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate you taking your time out to come. hard decisions are going to have to be made. We can't just keep saying that we need to do something and not do nothing at all. At some point, we have to do something, because if we don't do it, someone's going to come and do it for us, and we don't want that to happen. We've come a long way, and like I said, all of us haven't been involved, but me and Carol were back there during the time when he had to close the 6 schools, and it wasn't easy, and this isn't going to be easy. And please believe we're all losing sleep about it. We're not just jumping into it. But if everyone's not comfortable and everyone's now on the same page, I don't want us to have to make a decision and everybody doesn't feel that they're making the right decision. And it also will give us an opportunity to have Mr. Griffin here too as well, because it is an important decision. So I know that everyone might not be happy with the decision that we decided to table it, and some might be very happy, but we have to work together at a board to keep this district moving forward. And I appreciate everyone that came out, and I appreciate everyone's story. Please believe that no matter which way we decide to vote, we haven't made the decision lightly. We haven't taken it lightly, and we do understand that lives will be changed. But if we don't do anything at all, lives definitely will be changed, because there'll be a possibility that no one will have a job. There won't be any districts. There won't be anything for us to work. Because if someone comes in here and make a decision, please believe they're not going to ask you how you feel about your job and where you're going to be. They're going to come in here and say, we're taking this, we're taking that, and it's going to be over with. And then we're all going to be sitting here looking crazy. And I don't want that to happen. So when all of us made the decision to run for school board, we're not doing it for our own personal gain. We're doing it for everyone, for the community and for the students. So we have to do what's the best interest for all students, not a small group of students, but all students. And with that being said, I thank you for taking time out. I know it was long tonight, but it had to be done. We had to take the time out to do it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, a motion to adjourn is always in order. All in favor? Okay. Thank you.